want to talk to you about bold love in philanthropy. When the Rockefeller Foundation celebrated their 100th anniversary, Judith Rodin, then the president of the foundation, told a story that I'll never forget. She talked about a group of program officers who worked during World War II to smuggle scientists and intellectuals out of Nazi Germany. Now, when I say that the program officers did this work, they didn't contract with an NGO. They did this themselves. They literally pooled their money. They diverted funds from other programs within the foundation to ensure that these scientists and their families, in some cases, were safely out of Nazi Germany, because for them to stay would be tantamount to a death sentence. They would surely be killed in the concentration camps. In the end, they saved over 300 scientists. Bold love in philanthropy. So we love our buzzwords. So I usually tend to define or unpack the words that I'm using so that folks know exactly what I'm talking about. We'll start with philanthropy. It's Greek in origin, and it simply means love to mankind. Bold, to be courageous, or to act in spite of your fear. Love. Now, I'm a Christian by faith, so I tend to go with the biblical definition, which is 1 Corinthians 13, talks about love is patient, love is kind. Love keeps no record of wrongs, it protects. But if you like a more secular definition, I tend to go with renowned African-American author Bell Hooks. Her book about love defines love as the will to nurture oneself or another. But what she's very clear about, what she's adamant about, is that love and abuse cannot coexist. Bold love in philanthropy. When I reflected back on my 19 years in philanthropy, I'm ashamed to say that I actually could not come up with a situation where myself or any of my colleagues actually displayed the kind of courage that those program officers did back during World War II. But when I think about my grantee partners, million stories. I want to tell you about Nathan and Mother Reeves. They live on the outskirts of Monrovia, Liberia. Nathan is an engineer by training. Mother Reeves is a small business owner. Now, Nathan runs one of, actually the only, indigenous Liberian-founded alternative energy organization in the country, and we're his only private donor. Nathan has been working on alternative fuels and ways to cook charcoal easier, as well as decrease the amount of wood and forest that we have to take away. So they had a young neighbor, pregnant, was a charcoal cooker. And if you don't know anything about cooking charcoal, it's extremely, extremely laborious. From the cutting of the wood with a machete or a knife, not a chainsaw or some kind of electrical tool, to the packing of the wood. It's very technical in the way that you pack the wood together, you burn it, you set it afire, you have to constantly, 24 hours a day, make sure that there's no air getting into it. It's a 24-hour job. For this young woman, if you don't work, you don't eat. She worked throughout her entire pregnancy. When she gave birth, her baby was born with a hole in its body the size of a donut or a puff-puff. This mother had worked constantly throughout her pregnancy, and she'd gotten so close to the heat that the heat had burned her belly, burned her through her womb, and burned the baby. The baby burned in utero. Mother Reeves nursed the baby back to health. Mother and child are fine. Mother and son are fine. But it so enraged Nathan that he doubled down on his work to find alternative ways to cook safely, because he figured that you didn't have to sacrifice your child in order to eat. Bold love in philanthropy. As I leave you today, I want you to imagine if we could fund or invest in a way that actually kept no record of wrongs, that was not self-serving to ourselves or our institutions, that never shamed. If we could fund with the courage that our colleagues did back in World War II, I want you to imagine the miracles that we could help unlock if only we chose to love boldly. Bold love in philanthropy. Thank you.